Hello, friends. It's John Clan III of episode 158 of Shadow and Flame with Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review Excalibur Volume 143. So let's get into it. And this great year of our Lord 2025, I'm going to turn 43 at the end of the month. And as is tradition around here, and the podcast doesn't have too many traditions, but one of them is that for every the age I am, is I grab the issue numbers that correlate and do those throughout the year, doing four of them in the month of January and then one at the end of the year. And I think I have like six or seven. So whenever we have a week we don't have anything to spotlight, I'm just going to knock out one of these. And then going forward, I will be doing back issues, which I have so many back issues to get to. So it'd be nice to work on those this year. I guess there's no reason why I can't just do them as well, um, but yeah, I'm sure there's going to be weeks where there's no Kitty Pride, Lockheed, or Magic content. So, this one, and they go in alphabetical order too. Um, this issue came out in early November 1991, and the cover has Kitty. Very cute, by Alan Davis and Mark Farmer, staying on the cover. And I do miss word balloons on covers. Although this issue has been approved by the Comics Code, the editor-in-chief thought it was advisable to warn that some of the material inside may be offensive to the natives of Alpha Centauri. And we see Rachel phoenixing in the back, Brian's punching Kurt, body bag is exploding a toilet. And bottom left corner, we're celebrating 50 years of Captain America in from 1941 to 1991. So I guess he's gonna be 90 in 1931 or 2031, which feels like forever from now, but will be upon us in what, 6 years? Yeah, that's a math, everyone. Inside cover ad is fun, showing us Sonic, his very first game. So cool. Powerful Captain Britain, the shape-changing Megan, intangible Shadowcat, the swashbuckling Nightcrawler, the mysterious Phoenix, the ever-unpredictable Widget, and Loki the Dragon, forged in the fires of their tragic past, they have banded together to fight a modern-day crusade against the forces of evil. Stanley presents Excalibur. And if you want to follow along, I did YouTube and TikTok videos for this issue. Just had to search Jacko SII. And then I also just posted all the images on TikTok. So those are out there for your viewing pleasure. And hopefully TikTok doesn't get banned, but if it does, I have been duplicating all the content besides the photos onto YouTube. And I don't know, I still get more views on TikTok than I do YouTube for the comic book content, so I'm really just pushing that at the moment. But would love the YouTube channel to keep growing. Home Comforts or Who Exploded the Toilet? Helen Davis, the writer penciler, Mark Farmer, inker, Michael Heisler's the letter, Glennis Oliver, colorist, one of my all-time favorite colors, editor Terry Cavanaugh, editor-in-chief Tom DeFago, reference on the cover. And Excalibur created by Chris Claremont and Alan Davis, which I should share if you go over to and search Jacko SII at Geek League of Comic Geeks, a website I adore that I really use so much I probably should just become a $20 pro member. But I cataloged all my comic books and um was very disheartened to learn that Kitty Pryde is not my number one character. Loki came in at 12, Shadowcat at 5. And if you're a pro member, apparently it binds all those characters and puts them all under like Kitty Pryde of 616 or 616 if you're so inclined. Right now I'm trying to remember how Celebro prefers it. Oh. Um, and uh, so Shadowcat number five, Lockheed at 13, Magic was at 12, but Glynis Oliver is the Wolverine of letters. She just ran away of first place. Chris Claremont also was the Wolverine of writers. John Romita Jr. was my number one interior artist, and Alan Davis was my number one cover artist, and Tom Chorinsky was my number one letter, but Corey Padet is chasing him. And I forget who was my second one. I want to say it was Bob Wyack was my second interior artist. So that's fun. This is one of my all-time favorite issues of Excalibur. It opens up with Kurt and Megan just bouncing around. She's in a black bikini and he's in an all-white outfit. And they're just bouncing around together, and she's connecting with him to the point where she turns blue, which she's done before. And then they start making out, and he says, "Megan, oh Megan." And Brian grabs him by the throat. As it turns out, he was having himself a little dreamy dream, and he's just trying to read his book, which I don't think we ever find out what his book is. But poor Brian just wants peace and quiet. But the previous issues, Excalibur defeated Technic, and now all the Technic minus Gatecrasher are now living in the lighthouse, which only has 5 floors, and so it's very crowded. Rachel shows up before, like he has him in a chokehold, but not like, I mean, I'm sure there's pressure on his throat, but he's not punching him just yet. And Rachel's having them calm down. Brian's gonna, oh, he makes a point calling him Night Creeper, which is like, all right. There's a fun Toys R Us ad for the X-Men action figures, including Nightcrawler with suction cups, Storm in her black out lightning outfit, which I'm pretty sure I had, Colossus, Cyclops in blue and white, which is not my preferred look, Archangel, Wolverine with removable mask, I'm sure, Apocalypse, Juggernaut, and Magneto. So this seems like a pretty decent line for them. And so everyone looks at each other, and then Brian comes, no, I'm sorry, Megan comes down the hall with holding some technology. And on their way down, oh yeah, they're making a hole through every floor to so they can have like a gravity machine that levitates people up and down, or where the reverse of levitation is, where you drop down. Doesn't seem as fancy as levitation. And on the way down, Megan kisses Brian, which then makes Brian feel foolish, and then he walks downstairs. Then all this drilling and everything drives him insane, so he goes even further downstairs, and where we catch up with Kitty wearing glasses, and she's working on Widget, trying to tinker or figure out what is his deal, which we will get answers now. She's hanging out with Pharaoh too, who is connecting all the Kitty's been spending a bunch of time trying to work on connecting, let's see here, 2, 4, 6 computers. And Pharaoh has 4 arms and 2 legs, so he's like, "Oh, I can just get all this work done right now." And fries all of her computers, which sends Widget through a quite the electrical bolt. And Brian's like, "Wow, we're so overcrowded here, right? It'd be nice if it wasn't the case." And Katie's like, "I'm not gonna admit to that, so I'm going downstairs for a nap." And then, what is this gal's name? Really could have used a but the lady Technic member is really floating behind Brian, just sucking up all of his negative emotions because she loves that. We see Body Bag is tearing away at something, and so Brian pulls his neck back, and it turns out he was ripping Kitty's teddy bear apart, which is not ideal. But then Pharaoh says that, hey, there's no problem as long as you're not eating any. Oh yeah, as long as it wasn't any synthesized long chain molecules, body bag should be fine. And Brian's like, nylon is a polymer? And then Pharaoh 2's like, I imagine, I wonder if it's Pharaoh squared because it is a tiny uppercase 2 subscript. Yeah, subscript. And he's like, polymer? And Brian's like, polymers are cyclic long chain molecules, you blithering moron. And Pharaoh squared's like, they are? And then we see body bag rushing to the bathroom. And I'm gonna use these two body bag images and then the two Lockheed appearances for the promotion of this web episode. And body bag explodes the bathroom. So we got the answer to that. And it's their one working bathroom they had. So that's not great. And Brian's just he's amused now that Kitty's now on his side, but begrudgingly. And then he's in the basement and he finally found a quiet room, which he opens up and finds numbers and the dragon from the cross time caper, um, finding some alone time. And numbers is like unnecessary embarrassment, solitude, unexpected female encounter, ravishing beauty, overwhelmed self, joy oh joy. The dragon giggles. They extinguish illumination on exit. And Brian's like, certainly, forgive my intrusion. He just is like, what am I saying? I'm going insane. And then well, just Brian being very British and being like, I don't like this is inappropriate. I need to leave. And then he finally confronts Scatterbrain's her name. And the other lady one, who I don't know her name, um, explains that Scatterbrain loves emotions, especially negative emotions, and so yeah. And then slurps up some rotten meat with some gnats, and Brian's like, I gotta go. And the caption says the elevator is a common column of zero gravity where the tiniest movement can propel our body forward. To fly, Brian Braddock generates a force great enough to defy gravity. Which, if you're like me, I'm obsessed with Wicked. That's pretty fun. So when the earthly restraint suddenly cut, he catapults up, out of control, until he hits the null grav projector, and then he just loses it. And he sees when he crashed to the ceiling, Rachel bounced back. Um Kurt went to save Megan, which is unnecessary. And then Brian in his haze sees Kurt checking on Megan and just backhands Kurt. And then Kurt, being quick, bounces around and we see Megan, Rachel, Kitty phasing up and Lockheed as Kurt takes the fight outside. Low still dodging, so Brian can't get any more hit. There's a double page spread here for the call 1-900-288 X-Men. And for the $1.75 for the first minute and 20.75 for each additional minute, maximum call 4 minutes. So for $5, you could play this fun online game where you can play as Wolverine, Iceman, Cyclops, or Banshee and win plate signed X-Men #1 cover of your choice, but four of the covers instead of which one's missing? The gatefold cover. And two and coupons for a poster. So that's fun. Brian lunges with a furious speed that belies his muscular bulk. Kurt flips onto the blonde giant's back, barely avoiding rock-hard fists. And with a burst of flame and brimstone, he teleports them to the base of the lighthouse. Which now reminded about Dr. Andrew DeMann of Gosh Golly, Gosh Golly Wow podcast, where they talk about, well, every issue of Excalibur and most of the spinoffs. Um, it's just about how Alan Davis, the writer, doesn't quite trust Alan Davis, the artist, to just tell the stories without captions. And so it's just like cluttering all this amazing art. But also, I don't know. It's there's some poetry here. The leap's clear, leaving Brian to continue his headlong charge of undiminished momentum. And then because he's not hitting him, and he's now making crashing into rocks, he's just attacking him even harder now. And then Kurt um breaks his femur, I think is what's revealed here. And Megan's like, "Stop! Like, what is this?" Like Rachel explains that you're fighting over me, but I'm not a thing. Nobody can own me. I gave you my heart to you, Brian. I love my friends like a family. You made me feel safe. You're all so much cleverer than I. I thought you understood. And she's just like crying now. And it's like, Brian, you big oaf. Like, it's just she flies away, with she Lockheed and them all watching her fly. And Rachel's like, leave her, Brian. You said and done enough. And then Kitty is left behind. Oh, Rachel's gonna fly after Megan. Kitty needs to phase away to grab the med kit to help Kurt, and then Brian and Kurt are just, you know, like clearly everything's gone too far. Words were said, and now that they're just left with embarrassment and a broken leg. And Kurt has to confess that he does have feelings for Megan because why wouldn't he? But also, it's a weakness of his. Like, he's never done anything. Megan's not done anything. We have a bulletin, bullpen bulletins with the September cool meter, which I always loved as a kid, even though I don't recognize any of these. So from cool to uncool, we got Julia Roberts, The Adventures of Captain America, turning 50, the Fox Network, which I think is new at this point. Dinks, which means double income, no kids, which I remember hearing the insult dinks, but not knowing the context of it. Child TV stars in prison, which who knows who those were. Paula Abdul, bananas, diplomatic immunity, so I wonder if someone abused that. Motorcycles, Tiny Toons Adventures, which should be way higher. Marrying Millionaires, 70s rock groups, Total Lunar Eclipse, Marvel Fanfare, Country Western Music, Rick Dees, who I don't know who that is, Lip Syncing, which nowadays is way popular, Goatees, Tube Socks, Flea Markets, Heather Sutherland, which I think this must be after the failed wedding of Julia Roberts and Keith Sutherland, so Marvel clearly chose Julia Roberts' side. Bowling and the metric system. Brian's embarrassed, and then four Captain Britain Corps show up to arrest him, which one says, for anything you do say may be used in evidence against you, you are guilty of breaking Morality Code 9222765, paragraph 7676W, and are summoned for immediate court-martial on Otherworld. And Brian's like, you're not taking me anywhere. And he's just gone. Meanwhile, on another plane of existence, are close to our own, yet so very different, bizarre procession wields the way across the frozen wastelands of E-Earth. Ekrum's droid acolytes and their armored Breetoon flank a mystic spear, shackled within the Princess Satine, sole survivor of a regal dynasty, last of the mighty sorceress sisterhood, now a mere sacrifice destined for Necrum's bloody altar. But the tyrant's appetite will not be appeased this day, as we see Kylun, not first appearance, but he fights off these foes and the subplot, and he kisses the girl. Next issue, Witness for the prosecution, which is just fun. Letters were by Grant Smith from Pullman, Washington. David Hodgkins, who requested to not have his address revealed. And by address revealed, I mean everyone's at, like, you can write letters to these people if you so chose. Hillary Clark from Seattle, Washington. So I guess Excalibur doing very well in Washington. Elvis Orton from Dawson Springs, Kentucky. Robert Munez from Harlingen, Texas. John Ross Harvey from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Les Smith from Marblehead, Massachusetts, and Carla Baki from Great Falls, oh, Missouri. 594. Oh, no, no, but that must be Montana, but they messed up the state abbreviation. Because 59601 is Helena, but I should look up this person. That's weird, right? You're like, hey, I saw your letter in Excalibur 43. I mean, it's 91, so we're quite years removed from it, like what, 34 years away from it, so I doubt she still lives there. But shout outs to you, Carla. And that, everyone, was Excalibur 43. Um, so let's us take a moment to, oh, and the back cover ad is for the Wolverine Nintendo game, which I don't think people talk about enough. And I don't recognize it. It's one of the legendary LGN games of the Rainbow Umbrella, which if you're a big fan of the angry comic book nerd, those games were notoriously not good, but they had all the licenses. So let's see what comics came out last week. Why don't we? Oh, Avengers 22, which has Black Cat, the Avengers doing a heist, where Storm and Wanda fight each other, which is very fun. And Storm calls Wanda the Great Pretender, which she recommended she do that to build the intensity, and Vision just keeps getting blown up, like knocked aside the entire time as they try to kidnap or capture something of Kang's. But Iron Man uh, had a mini series of Black Cat written by Jed McKay, who wrote this issue, and he's done some great work with Black Cat. So it's like, hey, she's in this for an arc. So this arc is very fun. Cable Love and Chrome #1. I don't know if you're cable inclined, you should really like it. Like he's in a future timeline and meets a lady soldier, Avery, who I really liked, but I don't know. I'm not a solo cable guy. If it's team cable, I'm all about that, but I don't know. Speaking of which, Deadpool Wolverine by Benjamin Percy and Josh Cassara. So great creative team. I wish they weren't doing a Deadpool Wolverine series, but if you like Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up together, it's a great comic, but also didn't. I mean, amazing visuals, good story. It's just, not 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 for me. Uh, X Factor 6, which I do like Russell's idea of like of exciting cliffhanger, but when the issue opens, it's clearly like hours later, and they're like, "Yeah, we settled that, and now we're doing this." So it's like, yeah, it's fun. Frenzy turns out she was working. Oh, major spoilers for this week's comics. Honestly, how many times are we gonna do this before I say it at the appropriate time? X Factor 6. Frenzy turns out was working with Lorna, and issue ends with Lorna and Alex going their separate ways, which is like how I prefer them. And um and Dr. Cecilia Reyes is upset about her boyfriend dying, and Pyro was comforting her. And pretty much I'm reading this title purely for the Dr. Cecilia Reyes and Pyro action, and now friendship and the frenzy content. So it wasn't a bad issue. There's some jokes there, but I don't know. I'm just here for the relationships, and we got some of that. And my #1 comic of 2025 thus far, X Factor 7, which gave us all the Retzi content we could want. We get explanation of how Rachel survived Xavier murdering her, as the five couldn't bring her, or the five could bring her together, but she couldn't. Xavier wasn't around to update all of her memories. So it turns out, with her mutant chrono power, and helped of all the various Rachels that she's been, captured her imagine or not her imagination, but all of her memories up to that point, and then re brought her back together. And which is great to see Tao draw Rachel in all of her different outfits. And yeah, so it was a pretty great comic. And I'm trying to remember how I ranked them, but I want to say it was X-Force 7, Avengers 22, and then I think I went Deadpool Wolverine 1 at 3, X Factor 6 at 4, and Cable and Wolverine, or Cable Love and Chrome 5? That feels right. And if you follow me on Blue Sky, you will get all these instant reviews, and I'm trying to do them shorter so they're not so spoiler heavy. And so like an initial thought with the cover, second post is more of a here are my thoughts on what happened, and usually try in on a witty thing in case you want to know. And then I'm gonna try to do my top 10 of 2025, but only post it because I do have some creators following me now, so I'm just like, oh, I should, especially like they retweeting things from me. Oh, I should be more responsible or like kinder or just knowledgeable. Like, yeah, keep it pithy and light. And but I love the list at the beginning of the year where like, it's a living document. So like, yeah, things are gonna exist. And then, the top first 10 comics get to be in the top 10, so that's fun. And as a big nerd, I like to track that. So yeah. Plus it gives me content to do for the website. Um, which of course is shoutoutflameofmagic.com. So let's see what comes out this Wednesday. Um, oh. Magic number one by Ashley Allen, and his first initial starts with a G, Parata. And then Jay Campbell is doing covers. But Magic number one, everyone, 50th anniversary of Giant Size X-Men. So it's the 50th anniversary of Storm and Nightcrawler and Thunderbird and Magic. So she gets her own ongoing series. We're still waiting for the Jubilee ongoing to be announced because the other four gals from who got blood, oh no, blood ties? That wasn't it. Blood Moon, Blood Hunt. Great name for a series crossover. Have gotten the one sh or ongoings, but Magic is currently my 2025 ongoing to. This is gonna be my favorite um new series because I'm mindful of saying Excalibur X-Men or Excalibur. Exceptional X-Men is gonna probably be my favorite going forward, as I rank Kitty above Magic, but it's a very tight second place. Marvel and Disney, what if Mickey Mouse and Friends became the Fantastic Four? Like, all right. Donald is the Thing, which is weird as you think he'll be Human Torch, right? And then Goofy is the Human Torch. Minnie and Mickey are Rhea and Sue. Namor 6, which I think is the final issue. Um, I don't know. I'm here for the Stingray content. New Champions 1, which I'm not tracking really. NYX 7, which I've been loving that series, so see what's going on. Looks like Stink is back, so we see what he causes issues for Laura. Sentinels 4, which I want to say is the final issue. Uncanny 8, the final issue of Raid on Grey Mulkin, which I'm sure is setting up X-Manhunt. What if Galactus transformed Gambit, which is the first of, I think, 3 tie-in X-Men tie-ins with Rogue for sure. I forget who the third one is. And then Wolverine 5, where it's him, Lady Deathstrike, and Constrictor, and a fourth fellow. I don't know. So, comics to look forward to. Number one, Magic. Number two, Uncanny X-Men 8. 3, NYX 7. I'm going to say What If Galactus transformed Gambit at 4, Sentinels at 4 at 5, and Wolverine 5 at 6. But now wishing I had just made Sentinels 4-4 and Wolverine 5-5. I think Namor 6. He's not really doing mutant stuff anymore, but he's doing it. He's doing his own thing. And everyone, that was episode 158 of Shadow and Flame of Magic. Thank you so much, dear listener, for listening. You can follow me at Blue Sky and Twitter at Jackals SII and the podcast's socials at SNFWM on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, where I try to post the four images. I say try because Instagram fights me on it for whatever reason. So that's disappointing. So next episode would definitely be headlined by Magic, and then whatever is next on my 43 issues. Um, I don't know, 43. It is. I mean, there's points where it doesn't feel any different from 33, except for just being older, which I'm now saying in that sentence, I'm realizing how close to 50, but also nowhere near 50. So, and like turning 40, like people, put a lot of impact on the round number, but I don't know. I mean, does it take longer to stand up from sitting on a couch? Sure. But, maybe I get my health under control, and so maybe that won't be an issue. But I don't know. 43 doesn't feel much different from 42, which didn't feel any different from 40. So, you know, for you younger people being like 43, it's not much. I mean, I think it's a lot different from 23, where you can make, your 20s, you're still trying to find your way, and 43, yeah, you're a little more established. And, you know, I mean, what really ages a person is having a kid and being like, oh, my kid's 11. It's like, oh, well, that means oh, yeah, 43 or soon to be 43. Like, yeah. Anyways, so, dear listener, I'm horrible at goodbyes. So until next time, thanks again for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.